back to our podcast channel, Polished to Corporate, Season 2, Episode number 7. Today we have Nikhil Kalyanpad. He holds a position of Deputy Manager of Public Relations at National Dairy Board with over 7 years of work experience with companies like US Mitchell, Eureka Labs. I'm sure we can learn something more in marketing which we have not explored through his knowledge. So, welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time and interacting with us. It's a pleasure having you both.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much.
So, going forward, I would like to ask you many questions, but the most exciting question for now is what actually made you take up marketing as your career?
Um, so it's a very long story. I'll try to cut it as short as possible. I'm actually an engineering dropout. I did 2 years of engineering. Wasn't really my cup of tea and realized it really soon, I think, thankfully. And I explored into something that could actually keep me engaging and I would find interesting. So photography was something that was really new to me and I really enjoyed doing it. And I picked up that hobby in my second year of engineering, and I think I liked it a lot. And I decided I wanted to quit and do something around this field. And I actually entered into film and television. I was into a lot of reality shows. I was into casting a lot of into those Swayamvars, if you remember, back in the days were quite popular. So I was actually in the casting team of that those kind of shows, and I did that for all of my graduation, which I pursued in mass media in Mumbai, and I was working while I was pursuing my graduation. By the end of graduation, I sort of realized that probably uh, the film line or the media line per se requires a lot more of patience and born I was impatient, knowing that 2 years of engineering itself told me that I was very impatient. So I moved out of the media line and tried my hand at marketing. I did 1 year of marketing with a publication house. They were into a very broad spectrum. So they had photography magazine, they had liquor magazine, and they had an aerospace and defense magazine. So quite a broad aspect of industries that I worked in. So for a year, I worked with them. I really enjoyed marketing. Um, I tried my hand a little bit at sales, miserably failed at it, and realized I think I should only stick to marketing part of it. And probably sales wasn't something that I was made for. And stuck to marketing. And then I pursued my MBA at Flame University, where I did my mass communication again, my MBA in mass communication, and enjoyed my 2 years at Flame University thoroughly. First year, I was a very studious person. I tried to uh, gain maximum out of my first year. The second year, what I did was I understood that just the studies wouldn't be like a part of it. I need a lot of co-curricular activities to go with it. And Flame University actually had a very flexible sort of methodology towards going around your curriculum. I was really fun doing it. So my classes were what 30-40% of the day, and the 60% I would do all the other co-curricular activities. And I think I thoroughly enjoyed my second year. With God's grace, I passed with a gold medal in the MBA segment. Amongst I think around 180 students, they honored me with that medal. It was really fun. Something that I've actually achieved at a high note in my educational career was the end of my education, and hence my marketing as per se. I began my journey in marketing and got placed into a glass company called Asahi India Glass. I was working with them as a management trainee, then an executive, marketing executive, where again sales fell into my laps and I ran away from it. Though I was quite good at, I'm good at talking to people. I think I am very good at communicating. I hope that's what has been delivered also in this podcast. But yeah, so I have a sense of
Definitely.
holding a conversation. Yeah, so I think I can hold a conversation. I thought I would do good at sales, but apparently closing was something that was really hard for me, and probably wasn't the industry what I wanted to be in. And hence jumped into a couple of more and landed up at National Dairy Development Board. And it's been just under a year that I've been working here. I've joined here recently, and it's been quite fun working here. In fact, my marketing career over the span of 6 odd years has been in different verticals. It has not just been particularly in one vertical. So I began in broad marketing where we would do everything, digital, social, digital, offline, online, events, exhibitions was all something that I did in a year in my first job. And later on, with my every job that I switched, I think I switched thrice till now, and I have handled various verticals. So in my Asahi glass job, I was managing a part of digital and a little bit of part of offline. When I was working with Europa Locks, I was managing digital completely. Um, when I turned into Michelle, I was actually heading their D2C platforms and their websites. So again, I was got into sales here, but it was a good version of getting into sales because online is something that is really interesting to work on. And now I've completely shifted into PR, which is very talking and communicating and building relations with people outside. So I think I've tried my hands over at a lot of different things in marketing, and
Different verticals.
I'm really enjoying it.
So actually, it was a very interesting journey so far. But one thing actually caught my ear was photography. So I am interested in photography, but very bad photographer, to be honest. From entire conversation, what actually caught my ear was he's a photographer. She has worked into uh, television as well. So just a personal question from my end. How was it? What was your daily routine or what made you love like photography or television?
So daily routine was really hectic actually, because I was doing this during my college days. So I was staying. So if you've known Mumbai, I was staying in
Yeah.
the exterior part of Navi Mumbai, in a small place called Uran, which is even further ahead of the harbor line where it ends up on Mail. So I came from that place, and it used to take me an hour to come to my college in Chembur. Hour and a half I used to travel. So I used to start my day at 5:36 in the morning, to go to
Oh,
college at 7:30, finish up, wrap up my college at 11:30, and then run to my job in Andheri from Chamber. And the good part about television was everyone woke up at 11. So our offices started at 12. So I could do my college and then go to work. And hours are rigorous in television. People see the fancier side of it. But I have
that
slogged
is
for, I think, 14, 15 hours a day. Came back home at 2,
along with
2:30.
college.
Yes, along with college. But it was a fun time.
Yes.
It was really fun getting to know the industry, understanding how it functions. I actually assisted an online editor on one of the television shows called Tu Mere Agal Bagal Hai, which used to come on Sub TV for a very short period of time. But I used to assist the online editor there for a small stint on weekends. I used to do that. Um, so that was also fun, understanding the multicam setup, how the online editing works. And photography was basically something you should blame Three Idiots for it, I think, because
Right.
I think that's where I picked it up and then explored it even more. And I think I enjoyed basic language of photography. The composition, the narration that comes out of pictures is something that quite hooked me up with photography as such, and I kept myself attached to it. I still try and do a lot of photography even now. I should just say my wife is very lucky. She has a husband like me who loves clicking pictures, so she gets a lot
Indeed.
of photographs from me.
Out of many things, a girl wants a good photographer.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
she's got lucky with that. The rest of the thing I got lucky with, but yeah, she got lucky over there.
Definitely. So now moving back to marketing, you said you have largely worked into digital marketing. So as a digital marketer, what ethical considerations you have to keep in mind?
Uh, Actually, you see, digital is a very it's an open source. What people understand of digital is they apparently think it's a very cost-effective medium, but it's actually not. I think it's more
Right.
expensive than your television and your than your mainline offline media. It's more expensive, but the only advantage that you get in uh, digital marketing is the targeting that you can, the narrowing down on the targeting that you can work with. Very emphasized, very crisp, very focused groups you can create, and you can keep advertising to them, and you can convert as and when you want to. In terms of ethics, I am not very sure of how does this land in the whole space of digital, but they follow the same principles of what the offline did. There are some limitations to it on understanding of how you could use a media. Um, your language of communication is probably something that you need to focus on while using the digital space. I hope I am answering in the right line. If I'm not, please do correct me so I
Hmm.
can give you the correct response that you're looking for. If this is
No,
not
no,
the
it
one,
is.
correct. So
No, no, it
okay.
is
So
definitely correct. Don't worry.
yeah. So this is something that you basically look at while you're working in the digital space. I think the products play a very important role on how you want to
Hmm.
function it. What happens is your the messaging part of it still remains the same. If you go through an offline medium or you go on an online medium, the communication part of it, of what the message is being delivered, or which you roughly call the creative or the artwork, basically
Hmm.
that holds the crust of the entire game, uh, which is known as advertising. To be very
Yes,
honest, the medium just keeps changing, and once as a brand or as a company, you get hold of this crust of how do you deliver your message, and you've spotted correctly, and the message keeps delivering consistently. I think that's when your no matter what medium you choose, you start getting the results. Uh, to give you a very, I think people must have come across this concept, the your fog perfumes or fog deos. They
yes,
caught on
yes.
a very simple insight, and they worked the artwork around it, and they were understood that people wanted perfumes in the price of deodorants, and
Deodorants, yes.
multiple uses, and more time it should last as a usage, as a product it should last for a longer period of time. And Fog as a company, or Vinny Cosmetics, what the parent brand is, understood this, and they just played on to this insight and made the entire campaign based on this. Now, irrespective of which medium you run the ads on, it delivers the correct message, and bang on helps achieving what the brand wants. So digital per
Definitely.
se, it's just a medium where the ethical part of it comes with the communication that you're building, and not with a particular channel.
Definitely. 100% right. I completely agree. Now, moving on, what are the pitfalls or obstacles that you have faced in your career so far?
For me, actually, marketing has not. One thing that marketing I could not gain out of marketing much was the stability part in a job. Uh, what happens is when you're working with a particular brand, um, if the brand or the company does not push itself towards being more innovative, or doing wanting to introduce and work on experiment on a lot of things, it becomes a really monotonous kind of a thing. And again, me being impatient as I am, it really impacted me a lot. And I think one of the again, when every interview that I've been at for a job process, one of the very common question that I get is the job jumps that I do. Within 6 years, I have nearly 3 or 4 jobs, and that's something that is something which has been like a not for me, but for the people who are trying to recruit me. Probably for them, it looks like a pitfall. But for me, it has been a great experience understanding industries. Um, I believe, and I think I am a very fast learner. I think I gain a lot of understanding on the markets that I'm in. Maybe for a maybe over a period of 2 to 3 months, I am at least able to gauge the overview or the perspective that you require to understand a market. So I think I gauge that in a couple of months, and I know if I can see myself in a long-term industry. Like my previous company that I was working in was into the skincare market, and
Yes.
within 3 4 months, I realized I think skincare is something that I not want to get into. Um, uh, Again, the question of ethics come into it, because a lot of skincare brands have this tonality of how they communicate on emphasis on fairness and emphasis beauty and emphasis on how pretty things should look. It started over a period of time. In the beginning, because it was new to me, I started enjoying it. But really soon I realized how complex you can have within yourself, and it starts messing up with things on how you are looking at things. And I think that's where I chose to again walk out of that industry. But it's a really dynamic industry to work in, to learn how are your consumers still thinks, how we as a few group set of people understand that beauty is just or the definition of beauty, how we have evolved with that definition. But people still keep that basic old age definition of beauty still
Yes.
in place and purchase products. So you have major of the market that is still doing. So that's why I think the
Yes.
companies are still communicating in that way, and there are still these companies are churning crores and crores of rupees out of it. So that's something that, as a pit, I don't know if it's a pitfall, but yeah, there are some things that you will come across, and these were a few that I came across when I was working, and that's been the story
Mhm.
around.
It's extremely relatable. Uh, so my next question is, when we talk about pitfalls, it is obvious we talk about success as well. So what is the most successful or most memorable project for you so far? Most memorable, precisely.
I'm not really sure of a memorable project, but because I have worked in companies for a very, I think, according to the old standards, I've worked for a very short period of time with them. But I have run quite good and successful projects wherever I've been. Um in fact, with Michelle, I have worked on revamping their entire website. Sorry, I have in fact worked on revamping their entire website. In fact, in my even Europa Locks, where I was working previously, even their website, along with a colleague of mine, we had entirely built the website from scratch. There was a very old school website, and we got them into the new features. I think website building is something that I really enjoy. In fact, with NDDB also, we are planning to work on something where we can create a much more dynamic website now. So website buildings are probably because that is the primary face of your company when people today go online searching for anything. And I think that has been one of the most interesting and engaging and successful part of
Yeah,
the jobs that I've done.
definitely. When we talk about NDDB, so if you have to explain what NDDB is or what they do to a layman, what would you say?
So NDDB basically works in the cooperative sector. When I say cooperative sector, it is the dairy cooperative sector, where these institutions are basically built by the farmers for the farmers, and they are run by the farmers. And the cooperative structure, how it works is, it basically all started in a small village called Anand back in 1947. Um,
Okay.
where there was an exploitation of the Polson dairies and Bombay presidency over the milk prices that were being given to the farmers. And they went on a strike, and they formed a cooperative with the guidance of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. and their representative Tribhuvan Das Patel. Um, they formed this cooperative societies, and these cooperative societies started functioning as small body cooperatives, which started collecting milk, and they processed the milk and then sold it to the market. And by 1964, 1965, actually Amul was set up, and correct. So Amul had actually been set up by 1964. They were well established cooperative that was there in the state of Gujarat. And Lal Bahadur Shastri had actually come down to Anand, one of the villages in Anand, for inaugurating a plant here, where he saw what benefits the cooperative has actually done for the farmers. And
Yes.
our then late chairman, Dr. Verghese Kurian, he met him, and he told him that we need to replicate this Anand pattern throughout India. And thus, basically, the NDDB's conception came into play. By 1965, NDDB was formed. And by 1970, the Operation Flood had started, which
Mhm.
is also known as the White Revolution, which
Yes.
ran for near about from 1970 up to 1998. And in this Operation Flood, the basic target was to make in production of milk, to improve the quality of milk, to increase the number of these farmer involvement within the cooperative ecosystem, and NDDB worked in doing this. And so this is roughly what the entire history of NDDB is. So NDDB basically works in helping these farmers form cooperatives and make these cooperatives run successfully. And it provides consultancy services. It provides various kinds of services, be it animal productivity or be it milk quality assurances. So from end to end, NDDB helps dairy cooperatives build their ecosystem um, within the country. And this is roughly what NDDB does.
It is very interesting. So, India being a milk deficit to a milk surplus is
Correct.
largely actually through NDDB and the white revolution they have brought.
Exactly. It is. It is.
So, when we talk about NDDB, your role is into PR. So, what is exactly your role and what excites you about it?
So one thing that I really early in my career, I understood that I love traveling. Be it for work, be it for leisure, anything, I enjoy traveling. You make me sit in a seat and I get really frustrated. So I thoroughly enjoy traveling, and uh, touchwood, this is something that I got in this job, where I basically look into events and exhibitions wherever they are happening. I am probably the first one hopping onto the seat and traveling to make the exhibitions, forming these exhibitions, setting up the stalls, and setting everything up. So my primary focus is around the exhibition and events that either NDDB participates or NDDB organizes. So I'm into that. Apart from that, I also look into the films part for NDDB. I have started working on certain films for NDDB now, where I'm involved in the end-to-end process of building films. Um may be with the external agencies or maybe it in-house. So I try and work on films. Apart from that, I also work on corporate communication, a little bit part of managing the media and understanding of how the news has been circulated around the dairy sector, and we
Mhm.
communicate with media throughout for this. So that's a part of it. Apart from that, there are a lot of things that we do at NDDB. It's a very old and a very large organization, and a lot of activities keep happening. We have a very active chairman who keeps us on our toe throughout. So it's wonderful. What 9-10 months that I've been here, it's been a wonderful journey that I've had so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and yes, I get to travel. So that's the more again another
That's like a
exciting part.
brownie point.
Yes, it is. It is.
So moving on, when we talk about NDDB and your elaborate diverse career, So, what is the one thing that you are most proud of accomplishing? It could be anything.
I think rather than proud, I would say there is a lot of understanding that I have gotten out of my entire journey of, or the small span journey. 6 years is not that long a journey as well. But I have gotten a lot of understanding in terms of we as students, when we aspire things, we are always looking at these big brands either to work with and to be in an established organization and to
Yeah.
thrive from day one. uh, I I don't think you need to burn yourself out. Uh,
Mm.
I think thinking about this process and how it needs to be achieved and what will I do and how will it
Yes.
happen. What happens is you keep having these aspirational thoughts, and I think for me it really burnt me out in the beginning of my career, because what happens is the real world is very different when it comes to at least marketing per se, or when you're in a large big corporate or a big organization. It's a bit difficult for you to get something that you like in the beginning of your career. So it
Yes.
anything might just land up in your lap, and circumstantially you might have to take it or you might let it go. It's completely up to the person, but circumstantially some people will have to accept a job. Some people will let it go and just then struggle for some time. uh, it's all going to be okay. I think it doesn't matter where you're working, how great the organization is, how great your boss is, or how great things are around you, or however the other way around it is. I think the most important part is to keep yourself positive and give your 80-90% uh, to achieve anything and everything that you want in your
Yes.
career. I would never say give your 100% because technically we never function at 100% efficiency. By default, human beings never do. And I think 80-90% is high optimacy that you can work at. And if you can at least give 80%, that's more than enough. Apparently, 30-40% of what you do is, I believe, average enough. So I think utna to initial days may people put in, and people work give at least 50-60% of their effort. So do give your 80-90% of your efforts and work towards it. Understand what are the timings of you to let go of a company and be in a company. I think that's something that I've understood. Um, Again, as I was saying that in my resume, I always keep getting asked this question of these jumps, and I always give one response to them is that if the organization is a fit for me, I would stick with the organization for a long period of time. And
Yeah.
there is no obligation when I start working with a company. There is no obligation for me or nor the company to keep me or me working with them for a long period of time. It is not an obligation. It's a service that you're providing to them, and they're paying you back for it. The moment you stop doing well, they'll stop paying you and they'll fire you. That's the whole
Yeah.
idea of it. So it's just the other way around.
Exactly.
If you're not satisfied with an organization, just quit. Nothing is going to happen. And there are enough jobs available in school. The market is quite good, and you don't have to worry about if we land jobs or not. People will definitely land jobs. If not jobs, you can start anything of your own. Yes,
Yeah.
the big chunk of money part, which we always think, yes, I need to earn handsome when I begin with. I think that should be a primary focus, but it cannot be the driving factor. I believe you like how you believe that the company should give you a chance. It's the other way around as well. You should also give the company a chance, even if they are paying you less. Probably the work is going to be much more satisfying than what
Yeah.
pay you will churning in the beginning out of it. Of course, if you're doing well, the company does well. The businessmen or the owners actually understand, and they then respond appropriately to that. So it's a
Definitely.
it's a wonderful dynamic to be in. A corporate job becomes a very wonderful dynamic to be in. But you need to understand on how to balance it correctly so that you don't get burned out or you don't burn the company down. So that's where the entire ratio has to be managed.
Definitely. So it was very interesting. My last question to you is, me being a marketing student, I look forward to make a career out of it. So what is one piece of advice you would like to give me?
So I think marketing as a field, is a very large has a very wide scope of places where you can work within the marketing domain. I think narrowing down on a domain and becoming a niche to work with becomes, I think, is not that I would personally not recommend. I would say dip your hands into understanding what each of these um, marketing domains are. Like in digital, if you bifurcate, there is organic and there is paid. In organic, you have various types of organic activities that are very various types of. So SEO is one of them. Then you have content management is another part of it. So these are all, there's a wide array of things that you can just do in organic digital marketing. Then when you have paid, you have multiple platforms to work with, and they have their own specialized ad platforms that you can understand and learn and become a specialist in that. But try and understand this, that once you pick up a niche and you try to get into only one particular domain, say if I am a ad specialist or a Facebook ad specialist and I keep running Facebook ads, though I'm pretty confident that the person would be able to run Google ads as well if they ever want to switch. But the problem is your resume will never say that you did Google ads. It will always focus on the Facebook part of it, and people will keep you in that bubble of Facebook ads manager kind of a activity or that kind of a role. And I think that's where if you are actually a marketing person, you should know each and every media that you are wanting to work with, and you should know how they operate. You
Yes,
always have agencies who can manage that and you can outsource that. But because you need to manage the agencies who are running it, you need to know how each of these medium also performs. So if you are into advertising, then probably the niche part of it would work well. But if you're into marketing, I think you should keep an open book and try and experiment with each sort of media and understand how marketing operates. The basics, the first lecture in marketing starts with the 4 Ps. And that 4 Ps, that basic concept of 4 Ps is what runs marketing throughout. So you do whatever you want to, these 4 Ps don't change. Yes, there'll be new P's that will get added into it, or that alphabet might change according to the author who's writing the that marketing thesis. But the basic principle remains same around the 4 Ps. And I think work and understand these 4 Ps. Don't restrict yourself to one of those Ps and just build your career around it. Because what happens is people will always prefer someone who has worked in various domains of marketing than to a person who's focused on one domain. So that would be one piece of advice that I would share with everyone. I think that has worked decently enough for me, where I have an exposure throughout, and within 6 years, I'm still not being into my. I have this knack for making videos, and making films is something that I enjoy doing. And now I'm able to do it in marketing itself. So people will identify and push you the roles that you enjoy, and they'll keep. If you are open to experiments, the companies also enjoy working with such kind of people. So as a marketing person, always remember, for your product to work, you have to experiment, and for the company to keep you, you have to also experiment. So it's quite the balance work for both the product and the employee. So that's the small piece of
very well
advice.
said.
Yeah.
Very well said. Noted. Thoroughly noted. Well, thank you. Thank you on behalf of Corporate Connect IBS Mumbai. I would like to give you a warm thank you. And it means a lot that you have taken out some time from your busy schedule and interact with us. It was altogether a very enlightening, very enriching session. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did.
I did. I did. Thank you so much, Pooja, for reaching out. And I think I had a very fun time interacting with you. Not a lot of people actually understand the journey that they have done so far, until unless they interact with someone and then they express to them that what have they gone through. That's when you realize ki, yeah, you've also done at least a little bit in life, if not much. So thank you for making me realize that I have at least done something in my life. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you.
If you have any questions on the podcast, please leave them below in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more such content. Also, for more corporate insights, you can visit our Instagram page mentioned below in the description box. Till then, stay tuned for episode 8.